guys, what is going on? My name is Jonathan. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being joined by not one, not two, but three M6P originals. What is going on, guys?
Hey.
Yeah, I'm Tim. Just like Jared and Darren, we're all from the wonderful booming metropolis of Piqua, Ohio. And I bumped into Jonathan on Darren and Jared's show, and he's invited me back a couple times. Now we're all back together.
I'm Jared. Started the M6P with my buddy Andy, and we brought Darren on board. And so we've been running that forever and hooked up with Jonathan and went to school with Tim. Here we are.
Hey, I'm Darren. I'm from Piqua too, like the M6P. Happy to be here, Jonathan. Not excited to talk about this topic, but we'll let you lead this combo.
We have all subjected ourselves to torture. In some third world countries that are war-torn and tattered and everything else, this is what they subject the victims to. When they really want to torture somebody, they make them watch Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D, starring David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. Right off the top of your head, first impressions, what do you guys think? What did you think about this masterpiece?
Well, I want to start off by saying I hope that we see him in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I really hope
right?
we see him. He's got to be there.
I mean, at this point, it would be a letdown if he wasn't in there, right? End of the film, you see Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson version. He comes out and he's like, just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier. And then out of nowhere comes David Hasselhoff. He's like, oh, you haven't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, man, it was really rough. I watched it last weekend. So I've had a week to go through a couple therapy sessions. I've been able to detox out of it. So I'm a little bit better than the three of you guys might be off. But it was very rough. I found myself jumping on my phone a lot, pausing it, and doing other things around the house. It did take me 7 hours to go through it ultimately from when I started to when I finally saw the last scene. I mean, that just is kind of telling, you know, if a movie can't hold even it's a Marvel movie, anything Marvel, even if it's just a little bit tied, should be able to pull my attention. And Nick Fury, it was so far removed from anything Marvel that I recognized. It was basically Marvel in name only, nothing else. Scrummed. That's the past tense of scream. Nothing else scrummed Marvel to me.
Well, you can say what you want to about it, but it was very faithful to the source material, Jared. We got life model decoys. We got the first appearance of the helicarrier.
But look at the helicarrier. Look at the helicarrier. What was that? Like, I think we did that in 9th grade art class. Like, I could have made that.
I think what really was hilarious about this was essentially a really bad cliche spy movie. That's what they made this into. And the funny part about this is a year before this movie came out is when Austin Powers came out. Okay. So think about that. A year, like probably while they were filming this and while it was in production, Austin Powers launched in theaters and essentially made fun of absolutely everything in this movie, which is what was so funny about it. The HYDRA base looked just like Dr. Evil's lair with the fake smoke and the fakey computers and henchman number 3 and henchman carrying wrench. I mean, it was the exact same thing as what they made fun of in Austin Powers. And you're just sitting here like, this came out a year after Austin Powers. It shouldn't be like that. This should have been a movie. This had the screamings of a 1970s Bond film. Everything from the bad guys when they all fell down after they got shot like they were a red shirt from Star Trek, and Viper, who played the quintessential foreign Bond villain, just a terrible accent,
the worst,
terrible acting, way over the top, maniacal, and then asking for $1 billion. I mean, once again, that Dr. Evil made fun of that in Austin Powers. It's just the funniest thing to me that they did all of that. Just to make it a really bad cliche spy film. That's essentially all it was.
Terrible dialogue, too. The cheesiest of the cheese.
I mean, it was made for TV. Like, of course it's terrible dialogue. But to Tim's point, first off, yeah, everything he said is right. Wow, one good thing. I'm going to point out a good thing about this show. David Goyer wrote it. I mean, it wasn't very good writing, but he did do a few of the Blade movies, and he did
The
Blade
whole
Trinity.
trilogy.
He directed that. Wait, what? Huh?
The whole trilogy.
Yeah, he
David
wrote those.
Goyer.
He also directed the last one of the Blade series. Yeah, but Goyer's done a lot of other stuff. He wrote this.
The Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah. The guy that wrote the Dark Knight trilogy wrote this.
Yep.
Or one of them. I mean, he didn't write it himself. Come on.
And Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance was another film that he was involved in. So,
oh yeah, wow.
He had some.
Which one takes the cake?
He had some
Nick Fury or that?
But yeah, he's definitely hit and miss.
Yeah.
But not like there isn't a lot of middle ground. He's either huge, great, or man, terrible. There's no middle for him.
That accent, like you were saying, Tim. I mean, I have absolutely zero confidence in myself doing a Russian accent, but I think that I could do a better Russian accent.
I expected her to just like reach down and pull up and have a cat that she was going to pet, because it was just so quintessential 70s Bond villain. It was really terrible. I couldn't believe that they went that over the top with the acting on it. And she was clearly directed to do so. I don't think anybody in their own mind would have chosen to do it that way. It was just a bad direction.
By the way, the reason that we all are reviewing this film is because we got into a discussion on a group message chat. We were discussing my rankings of all the comic book movies. And there was one film that was ranked not a 1, not a 0.5, but a straight 0. And that was this movie. So it was almost like we were all like, challenge accepted. Let's watch this.
Yeah, thanks for making us watch that.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I just finished it 15 minutes ago, or well, whenever we started this, right before that, but wow. Oof.
I'll have you all, anybody that's out there that doesn't know, the three of us live close to Dayton, Ohio, and Jonathan normally lives, you live in Mississippi, right, Jonathan? Before we decided to do this show, Jonathan magically took off to middle of nowhere, Oregon, so that we couldn't find him, okay? Because he knew as soon as we watched this movie that we were going to be like, dude, we got to kill you. What are you doing? So
that's totally why I'm here, by the way.
He's still in an undisclosed location. He's still in an undisclosed location because he doesn't want us to know where he is. Okay. That's how bad this movie is.
It cracked me up so much when you were watching the film, Tim, and you sent out to our group message, you was like, does anybody have a bullet that I can put through my temple? That made me die.
Yeah. I normally am actually like, trying to pay attention and but that I found myself watching, just kind of reacting to group chat stuff more than actually watching the movie.
One of the takeaways, and I think Jared pointed this out, like I tried to watch this, I really did. And I'd rather look at my phone. And who wants to do that really in this day and age? But I'd rather look at my phone or anything else other than watch this. But at the same time, I'm like, I got to talk about this with you guys. And there's all these characters. We had Alexander Peace, and they made this cardboard cutout of Dum Dum Dugan. Dum Dum Dugan was wearing a tie in this. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. It's all garbage. I'm sure. Wait, was that French lady? Was that the Black Widow? She was wearing Scarlet Witch. I was way off. Scarlet Witch. She was wearing the red and black, though. You know what I'm talking about? The French lady with the nice voice. She was only a good actress in the whole show.
No.
I don't think that was Scarlet Witch, but we did get Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
I saw her too. She was.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lisa Rinna. It was kind of interesting. The thing about Lisa Rinna is this was right on the heels of her doing Melrose Place, so she was like an A-list TV person. And same thing with David Hasselhoff. This is on the heels of him doing Baywatch. That you could not have found two bigger drama TV personalities to play in this movie to try to launch this new series, which is what Fox was trying to do. And it just fell completely flat. They had no chemistry with each other whatsoever. Neither one of them really played the character very well. If there's one thing I will say, David Hasselhoff did not play your typical David Hasselhoff character. He was a little more gruff, a little bit more rough around the edges than he typically is in some of his stuff. Like, if you're familiar with Knight Rider and Baywatch and all that kind of stuff, it's a completely different character than that. But it really was just one of those where it just did not work. The chemistry between them didn't work. The energy between them and all the other characters didn't work. I didn't buy a lot of the stuff with the villains. All the, you have 6 hours before or whatever it was. And I was like, this is so bad. It's just terrible. I just think it's hilarious that with two big personalities like Lisa Rinna and David Hasselhoff, they just couldn't make it work.
The guy, and I don't know what his name was, but the guy that was in charge of Dum Dum and Nick Fury, who kind of like held a notepad and was like telling them what they could do and disapprove. And then he had like three people that would always follow him around and be like, oh my gosh, what's he gonna like? Oh, it was just so cheesy is what it was. Like you said, Tim, to have Lisa Rinna and David Hasselhoff and David Goyer all on set and no one was like, this is weird. This isn't good. This isn't bad. Maybe we should change this or that. But everybody was like, hey, let's do this. What? Where were the adults on this movie? There were none.
I just wish I could have been at the table when Disney sat down and tried to get the Nick Fury character from Fox. I can just imagine Fox was just like, you can have Nick Fury. Don't even worry about it. We don't even want to acknowledge that this movie exists. Just take him. We don't even care.
Yeah.
Hey. Can you imagine seeing Sam Jackson with a backwood cigar hanging out of his mouth the whole freaking show for every MCU episode ever made or whatever. But they sure like those cigars, man. Those were backwoods. You get them around here in the Ohio states and stuff, I guess. I don't know. I don't touch them. But they sure like their cigars, don't they? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Nick Fury was always, up until Joe Quesada took over the comic books, Nick Fury had a stogie in his mouth every appearance.
All right.
Always. But I mean, but David Hasselhoff kind of took it to another level.
Yeah, like, he didn't sell it well.
No.
Like literally having a cigar in his mouth every waking second.
Every shot. Even when like he's about to get shot or something, he's got the cigar in his mouth. It's a really good cigar, I guess.
And just a little bit of comic book backstory. So then Joe Quesada came on and became the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, and his dad had passed away from lung cancer. So he said no cigarettes or smoking in Marvel Comics from here on out. So you don't see Gambit or Wolverine or Nick Fury or Ben Grimm. Nobody smokes anymore. They don't smoke in the movies since that happened. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's not like you want to be like, I want my characters to all smoke. It's not a huge thing, but a little bit of trivia that might be on a trivia game sometime.
Now, Jared, you're going to be more of a resource than I am on this. As far as what we've been introduced to with Val in the MCU and the Val that we saw in this movie, I don't think either one is really true to the character. Is that correct? Both of them kind of are a little bit taking liberties here and there to kind of fit what they're doing as far as the story. Is that a fair statement?
So more so in the past, she was more of an agent, similar to Lisa Rinna. But in the past 15 years, she's been more of a covert, behind the scenes, doing kind of some sneaky stuff in the comics. So she's just very much evolved, like almost like Alexander Pierce. Like he was just this peon in the comic books. He only had like 4 or 5 appearances total. They put him in the Hasselhoff movie, and then they make him the lead villain in an entire MCU movie. So there's definitely some liberties that were taken, but I think because her character was just so minute in the comics, kind of like Alexander Pierce, they took liberties and they just kind of can do whatever they want to with them.
Gotcha.
I think that the life model decoy special effects, like all the other special effects were terrible, but that life model decoy, although he was way more jacked than Hasselhoff was, I thought that looked pretty decent on a shoestring budget, which they probably had for this. That's one bright light.
I think there's no doubt they had a shoestring budget. I do think that the one thing about the decoys that I thought was kind of interesting is it added a very, very predictable element to the story. I think everybody, as soon as we saw the life model decoys, were like, okay, so you're going to think he dies at some point, and he doesn't die. And that's exactly how it shook out. It reminded me of, I think it was Mission Impossible 2 or 3, I forget which one it was, where, it kept showing Tom Cruise taking the masks off, and then at the end, Tom Cruise had the mask on, and and he had covered the bad guy to look like him and all this kind of stuff. And so you kind of see it coming, and based on the technology that they're setting up, that just added a certain level of predictability to an already bad story. So when the story is bad and then it's predictable, and then it's not executed well, you just kind of have a failure on every level.
Well, I was kind of interested in where Nick Fury was living before he came back to S.H.I.E.L.D. So was that like a cavern with a sliding door?
An old mine or something? Yeah.
Was it, did they say Trinity Base? That was the first thing I saw on the.
Yeah.
Nick Fury's on the moon, and we all know that.
He was a Skrull. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw No Way From Home. I told you guys this. Yeah, I guess he's been a Skrull the whole time. They name dropped him. He's been on the moon the whole time. All right, that's another topic. Whatever.
What did you guys think overall? If you had to rate this movie on a scale from 1 to 10, or I'm sorry, 0 to 10.
Why is this a question?
Here's the real question.
You literally said that Tim wanted to shoot himself in the head for watching it, and you're asking what the score is?
Here's the question. Did anyone rank it higher than a 0?
Yeah. I think I'd give it.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Higher than a 0. So anything?
I'll give it a 1.
0.5, 1.
Don't give it a 1, Tim.
1 out of pity.
Don't you back down.
I'll give it a 1 out of pity.
No, it doesn't deserve that either.
I think I would probably give it like a 1.5 to a 2.
Wow.
Compared to what?
Eternals.
Come on now.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Come on now,
on Disney
Jared.
Plus. Thank you. Oh wow.
Eternals is not that bad.
No. Eternals is definitely a 4.
Anyway, I will officially say that, you know what? I think I can bump it up from a 0 to a 0.5. I think that it at least deserves that. You know, there was some effort put into this film. I'm sure a lot more than what, you know.
There was no effort put into this.
There were some interesting concepts. You know, they took a lot of things from the comics, and they were at least trying to be loyal to the source material. So I give it a 0.5.
Jonathan, what else on your list is down there with it? I don't have your list in front of me, but like what else is like a 0.5 or a 1 that would be comparable?
Well, right above it at a 0.5 is Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Never seen it.
It's dreadful. Then you also have Elektra, which is also a 0.5.
No way.
Supergirl, 0.5. And then you got Captain America 1992, which is a 0.5. And then Swamp Thing is a 1.
Have you seen Man-Thing, though?
Yeah, I haven't seen Man-Thing, but I'm sure if I had, it would probably be down there in that territory for sure.
Yeah.
You gotta check out Generation X.
Swamp Thing's way better than Man-Thing.
You know what? When I was a kid, I watched Swamp Thing, and it's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, but there's no denying that it's bad. It's really bad. What do you have it rated, Darren? Did you give it a 0 or a 0.5? What did you give it?
Swamp Thing that John Carpenter did, or Swamp Thing on the USA Network we watched on Saturday afternoons when we were all
Nick
kids?
Fury.
Oh, Nick Fury? We're talking about that still? All right. Oh, goodness. Wow. 0.
Straight 0.
No hesitation.
Heck yeah.
0.
Everybody else gave their rating, right? Tim?
I'll give it a 1. I'll give it a 1, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'm going to defend my 1. Okay, I'm going to give it a 1 because this was at a moment in time when Fox was trying to get the comic book thing going. Okay.
All right, I'll give him a 1. I get where you're going.
And I'm not going to say that they did a good job with it here, but just keep in mind that at the same time that this was happening, they were beginning pre-production for the first X-Men movie. And I think that ended up being a very important movie in the history of comic book cinema. So I will give it a 1 just because this probably started getting a lot of wheels turning for the direction of what they were going to do. And we probably wouldn't have the MCU had we not had a lot of the lead up that came from the Fox films. So here we are.
Nick Fury, this episode of Nick Fury made the entire MCU. No, I get what you're saying though, Tim. Tim, I agree. You're right. I shouldn't have scored him 0. I agree. Like, yeah, they made an attempt. The same thing. We aren't even covering this, but Generation X, the same thing. There's probably some other ones we're forgetting about, but yeah, Tim's right. I should have given him a 1.
Next time we'll do Generation X.
No, I don't have to watch that too.
No.
It's great. I love it. Oh, I love Generation X.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of the illustrious review of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. What you got? You got something, Darren?
No,
You
it's
doing
fine.
this?
It's an Easter egg. We'll figure it out.
Okay, guys. Hey,
It's too late.
Yeah, at least it's not 8:30 though.
thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We are brand new to TikTok now. Unfortunately, we have a TikTok account. You can check us out at Real Comic Book Cinema, as well as our Instagram at Real Comic Book Cinema. Also, check us out on Facebook. We're there as well. Guys, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, check us out at the m6p.com or Facebook, Instagram, not TikTok, under the M6P. We're everywhere else, but not on TikTok. So check us out on everywhere except for TikTok on the M6P.
Until next time, guys, thank you so much.